Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to my video lesson. And today we are going to talk about the IELTS speaking part 1. The topic of the IELTS speaking part 1 today will be about riding a bicycle. So now we have 5 questions. First, do you know how to ride a bicycle? Question 2, when did you learn how to ride a bicycle? Question 3, how often do you ride a bicycle? Question 4, where do you usually ride a bicycle? Question 5, do you think riding a bicycle is a popular activity in your country? Now, let's move on to answer each of the questions below. First, do you know how to ride a bicycle? So, in this kind of questions, you need to explain whether you can ride a bicycle or not. So you can use some of the expressions. For example, yes, I do know how to ride a bicycle. So in this case, you say, I do know, to emphasize that riding a bicycle is a natural thing for you. Or you can say, no, unfortunately, I don't know how to ride a bicycle. Or you can say, I don't know how to ride one. So for example, yes, I do know how to ride a bicycle. I learned when I was a child, and it's a skill that has stuck with me ever since. It's such a simple yet enjoyable way to get around. Now let's move on to the second question. When did you learn to ride a bicycle? So, in this question, you need to mention the age or the circumstances when you learned a bicycle. So, did you learn how to ride a bicycle when you were 6? You can use some of the expressions over here to help you to improve your answer. So first, for example, I learned to ride a bicycle when I was 5, when I was 6. Or I picked up bicycle riding at the age of 5. I picked up bicycle riding at the age of 10. Okay? I can give you the example. I learned to ride a bicycle when I was around 6 years old. My dad taught me in our neighborhood park during the summer holidays. Okay? So now let's move on to question 3. How often do you ride a bicycle? So what should you do in this question? So you need to discuss the frequency of riding a bicycle. Sometimes, always, or once a month, for example. So some useful expressions are, I ride a bicycle once a month, every day, or on average, I cycle. So you can use the word cycle for ride a bicycle. Okay? So for example, I ride a bicycle quite regularly. On average, I cycle to work 3 days a week. And on weekends, I often go on longer rides with friends to explore the countryside. Okay? Right. Let's move on to question 4. Where do you usually ride your bicycle? So in this question, you need to describe the places or the routes that you typically take when you ride a bicycle. So you can talk about the road that you travel from your home to your school or to your workplace, or maybe you talk about the route that you usually ride a bicycle for relaxation, for example. Here are some useful expressions. I usually ride my bicycle on or in. Of course, you have to mention the place. I usually ride my bicycle in the park. I usually ride my bicycle in the mountains, for example. If you like to ride a bicycle in the mountain, of course. Next, my favorite places to cycle are, of course, when you say are, when you use are, that means you will want to mention more than one place in your answer. Okay, so for example, I usually ride my bicycle in the city, especially in the bike lanes along the riverfront. It's a scenic route with less traffic, which makes for a pleasant ride. Let's move on to the last question. Question 5. Do you think riding a bicycle is a popular activity in your country? So in this case, you have to share your perspective on the popularity of cycling. Do you think that riding a bicycle is popular in Vietnam, in Thailand, in your country, for example? Do you think that, or do you see people around you riding the bicycle every day? So you have to talk about the popularity of cycling. So here are some of the useful expressions for you to use in your answers. I believe that cycling is quite popular in my country because you have to give the reasons. Many people in my country seem to enjoy cycling because. Okay? Now, for example, I believe that riding a bicycle is a popular activity in my country. Many cities have developed dedicated cycling infrastructure, and you can often see people of all ages riding bicycles for both transportation and leisure. It's an eco-friendly and healthy choice, which adds to its popularity. Okay, so the answer for this question is quite long because you need to give a lot of reasons. But if you want to give one reason, I think that's okay, but try to make it in more detail and try to use as much vocabulary as possible. Okay, so I think that is the end of my video for you, and I just want to introduce some of the key words and also some of the useful expressions together with ideas for you to develop the very good answer to these questions. Thank you very much for listening to me. See you again in the next video.